everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we are going to be focusing solely on the ship phase for ISS Vanguard with Prototype 2.0. Now, if you haven't checked out my What's Changed video, as well as my setup video for the Planetary Exploration and that playthrough that just recently released for tutorial number 1, all around the Planetary Exploration, I'll put a link to all those in the top right-hand corner. You're definitely going to want to check those out to have an understanding as to what we're getting into with tutorial 2 here for the ship phase. And why is that? Because there is tie-ins all the way along through these tutorials. As you likely remember, we have 2 cards that we got at the end of the first tutorial. We have a research project here for alien materials and the exotic carbon here, which is a unique discovery. So without further ado, we're going to check out log 750 all around the very first tutorial ship phase, which has us talking about flying our ISS Vanguard to new alien worlds, researching technologies, manufacturing new equipment, advancing our sections and crew members, and a whole bunch more. Now, all of this is achieved inside the shipbook. It represents all aspects of your ship management, and it's going to grow with new cards as you progress through the game. Now, this first shipbook tutorial will be simplified, and it's not going to cover every single thing you're going to find inside the shipbook. Remember that it's a layered on approach. There are 5 tutorials to cover that will go through a couple and a handful of planetary explorations as well as some ship phases. It's worth noting, to avoid backtracking and jumping forward, cards during the ship phase are often placed in the awaiting pocket. This even happens sometimes during planetary explorations. And when you reach a certain part of the shipbook where they're actually used, the procedure there is going to tell you how to deal with them. Now, all cards that are going to be used during the ship phase, which include things like ship upgrades, research projects, production projects, blueprints, ship situations, they all have 2 sides. The first side is going to give a brief description of the card, has all the information and costs you need to resolve it, and it's usually marked with a do not reveal message on that front side, as you can see, for example, with our alien materials research project. Now, the other side should only be revealed once we actually install, research, or manufacture the card. Now, the very first thing you're going to notice when you open up the shipbook is that it's completely empty. This is very different from 1.0, when everything was inside the shipbook from the beginning, and you actually moved from the very first divider all the way through all the pages and other dividers to the very end, basically getting everything dumped on you in terms of the rules in one go. Again, this tutorial structure is going to actually have you bringing pages that are separate from the binder into the binder for the first time and learning about them as you introduce them into the shipbook. The first step at this juncture is to go ahead and find the divider 12, which is for the bridge, as well as the sheet that goes with it for cards 13. Now, all these are going to be marked to be easily found. You're going to have a whole bunch of them. In this prototype, it runs from 1 to 27. So at this point, your shipbook should only have 12 and 13 in it, which relate to the bridge. It's really important to note that as you go through these, and you're not going to be following the ship phase dividers in terms of what you should be consuming information-wise, you're going to be using the logbook. The logbook's going to point you directly and tell you exactly what to do inside of each of these sections. So in other words, don't go ahead and read the full rules here and then follow them verbatim. Go to the logbook and follow the tutorial for the first run through. It's going to keep things at a lighter level to get you accustomed to things before giving you the full rule set. The bridge is the most crucial step of the ship phase. Here you're going to review your objectives and spend energy to fly Vanguard through the galaxy, reaching new explorable worlds and systems. You will also install upgrades that permanently improve your ship. You're going to want to find your ship status panel, and for right now, we're just going to focus on the energy and generator dial in the top right-hand corner. The generator's dial needs to be set to +2. This means you're going to receive 2 energy points during every ship phase, and then we set the energy dial total to 3, and this, of course, is how much energy we have to spend during this bridge step. I'm sure you guys remember the small tutorial deck and the large tutorial deck that we were actually running through when we did the last video for planetary exploration. These decks still apply during these tutorials, and the logbook will still be asking you to pull cards from the top of them in order to populate things. So right now during this bridge step, we need to grab Eye of the Void, we need the objective, and we need this ship upgrade. The logbook then tells you exactly where to place these cards all face up. It's important to review your objective cards because following their guidance will let you progress your campaign further. However, at this point in time, we're now going to fly to our first destination. It tells us to open the system map to page 2. I've gone ahead and opened up to page 2, and you'll notice that is Eye of the Void. This is the current system we're in, and we can even see that based on our reference here in the book. This is the system that Vanguard is currently in, and just apart from the mysterious destination that we're not ready to explore yet, there are 2 other places we can go. An outbound system with a cost of 6 energy, and a TOI-2 outbound system with a cost of 1 energy. So we're going to be paying the 1 energy point, reducing the energy dial by 1, and then going to the logbook for this outbound system, log 400. We are at log 400 inside the logbook, which does have a checkbox that states if this box is already marked, go to log 399, otherwise mark this box and read on. So I would be going ahead and marking this box, being that I am going through the logbook and not the app during this tutorial playthrough. However, when the app is finalized with the final game, you can certainly do all this kind of stuff in the app and it will keep track of all this for you. So let's move on to the captain's log, entry 211. It seems the final destination of our journey proved to be anything but. The giant pitch black sphere suspended in void at the divine coordinates did not contain the answers we sought, only a mysterious message and a list of countless other worlds. Now we set off to explore one of them, wondering what the true purpose of the mysterious builders of the Eye of the Void was. Our mission is about to get much longer and more perilous than we have imagined back on Earth, though I have full confidence in our ship and the crew. As we speed toward the closest system marked on the builder's star map, I've ordered the section leaders to prepare their crews for anything. We need to be better equipped and smarter. We nearly lost 1 full away team. I do not want to repeat the same mistakes. So we have successfully made our first space voyage. We've now opened up the system maps to TOI-2, which is the new system we've moved to. Our current system has now changed, so we're going to replace the current system card that we had, and we're going to find it on top of the small tutorial deck. Just like that, our current system is now updated. You can see that there are a whole bunch of destinations available to us now that we're in this brand new system, but we're going to focus on launching the second planetary exploration. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and pick TOI-2C, and it's going to be a particular destination that we're going to pay 1 energy for, so we'll deplete this down by 1. The selection we've made after paying our 1 energy was for this one at the very bottom. On top of the large tutorial deck, you're going to find a card that correlates to the area we just went to, but we need one more thing, and that is the planetary scanner, and we're going to insert this card into it. The landing card is now inside the scanner, and we can use energy that we have in order to pay to find out useful facts about a destination prior to starting our mission. This can be really, really handy, especially for getting ready to actually begin our mission. The other thing I want to note, which you probably already recognize, is over here the ship upgrade flipped over, and that's because when I placed it in the binder, I didn't place it the correct way up. It should have been this way up to start, and what we're going to do based on the logbook is it states not to spend the 1 energy that we have here on this to take a look at something based on our destination, but instead spend that 1 energy on the ship upgrade, which is going to be installing it. And as we noted way earlier on in the video, we now flip this card over to the other side and gain the benefits. So we have no more energy available to us, but we've now installed improved solar panels, which is going to give us a +1 on generators when installed, so we can now go to the dial and tick that up by 1. Just like that, our generators have been bumped up and we're completely out of energy as mentioned. The logbook takes us to log 208, which is a captain's log that says, not everyone in the crew loved the idea of continuing our mission. Even though the crew was carefully selected and well motivated, conflicts began to brew. Fortunately, the security section carefully monitored the situation. At this point, it's telling us to grab sheet 14 and 15, which tie and correlate to the situation room. 14 and 15 have been added, so now we have 12 to 15 inside the shipbook. In this step, now the player who controls the security section is going to manage and solve dangerous events on board Vanguard by spending respawn points. The security section player is going to set the morale dial to red 3, and we're going to set our response points dial to 4. We're also going to take the top 2 cards from the large tutorial deck, which is the illegal power diversion and homesick situations, placing them in particular spots on the right. Just like that, our response dial and morale dial have been set. We've also placed the 2 ship situations into different stages as well. You'll want to familiarize yourself with both of the situations you're currently dealing with and read their descriptions to the other players. If you're playing solo, consume this for yourself. Each situation has 1 or 2 responses with 3 separate response points costs. So you're always going to want to use the cost that corresponds to the current stage of the card. So right now, card 1, which is our illegal power diversion, is in stage 1. Homesick is at stage 2 and further along. Long story short, it is going to be harder to deal with them as time goes by and they progress up the stages. So you're going to want to spend your respawn points to deal with any of the situations, keeping in mind that some situations will offer opportunities you want to seize before they disappear, and others lead to dangerous consequences if you decide to just flat out ignore them. So currently taking a look at the illegal power diversion, we're in stage 1. We'd be looking at the leftmost number for either of those options to resolve it, 2 or a 5, remembering that we only have 4 response points. We also have the homesick situation, which doesn't have any consequences, but it is going to just kind of trek along this track. And to be honest, seeing as this one's a little bit further along, I'm just going to go ahead and resolve this one here. So it's just going to cost 2, seeing as it's in stage 2. So I'm going after the middle number there, but there's no difference in cost for this particular one, as homesick will likely not have any major effects overall, but something like illegal power diversion is certainly going to cause issues and states below it severe consequences if it goes too far along. It's worth noting that I still have 2 energy remaining, and technically one of the options for solving this only costs 2 as it's in stage 1, which would be inspecting the power lines, but it does state to shuffle this card back into the situations deck. I currently don't have a situations deck established yet, so I'm going to actually skip past this and we'll be happy in stopping right here. Always remember that your morale is going to boost how many response points you have later on, so we can always come back and deal with this later as well. We're now told to go to log 300, Captain's Log entry 213. As we travel to a new system, our leading researchers busied themselves with samples brought from the Eye of the Void. I hope they will make quick progress. Some of the alien technologies could help us on our mission. At this point, it wants us to find sheet 16 and 17, which all has to do with the research laboratory. In this step of the shipbook, the player who controls the science section, as depicted at the top of this divider here, will research and develop exciting technologies that grant new production projects, equipment, and upgrades using the science points. Now, you'll remember that we have the Alien Material Research Project card that came out of the Awakening pouch. I've already pulled that card out and slotted it into slot A1. Next step is to deal with the dials. We're going to go ahead and set our science to 2. With the dial now set to 2, we're instructed to take the top 3 cards from the large tutorial deck, which is personal equipment, analyzing the message, and biomedical enhancement research projects, and we're going to place them in specific slots as noted in the logbook. Familiarize yourself with all 3 of the projects and their costs. You're going to want to read their descriptions to all the other players. And again, if you're playing solo, consume this on your own. The first thing you need are some more tools for your field operatives. So at this point, we're going to pay 2 science points, flip over the personal equipment research project, and resolve the text on the back. It states here, personal equipment. We've developed a set of devices and tools that could help operatives of every section. Now we just have to mass manufacture them. Gain and place in the awaiting pocket the following cards. Production Project C01 Specialized Section Tools. The Specialized Section Tools is now inside the waiting pocket, as the logbook mentioned. We're also going to go ahead and discard this completed research project. It is now going to go to card tray C. It's worth noting the breakthrough bonuses and discounts that are printed on the card slot are unavailable in the tutorial, but you're going to use them once you know the full rules. We're talking about this section right here. At this point, that's all the science points I can spend, so we're going to go ahead and move to log 355. Captain's log entry 214. Since no one on Earth knew exactly what Vanguard would face, our ship was fitted with state-of-the-art prototyping and manufacturing facilities. Now, for the first time, they're working around the clock producing additional equipment and modules we need for our extended mission. At this point, the logbook lets us know to find sheet 18 and 19 in order to house the manufacturing complex. In this step of the shipbook, the player who controls the engineering section is going to complete the production projects, granting players with new equipment, ship-wide upgrades, and more using production points. So we need those dials in play again. The engineering section player is going to set the production dial to 3, meaning we have 3 manufacturing points to spend during this phase. We're also going to set our manufacturing points dial to 3 as well. We're going to take Specialized Section Tools production project from our awaiting pocket and now place it in the leftmost slot on the reverse side of the card holder, ready for production. Our manufacturing and production points have now been set up. I've gone ahead and grabbed the card as indicated from the logbook. We'll be flipping this page over and placing this card in the ready for production slots. On top of the one that came from the awaiting pouch, it's already been slotted into the ready for production. We also go to the large tutorial deck and we're going to take off the top 2 cards. They are improved Vanguard systems and heavy mission equipment production projects. We're going to place them in the following ready for production slots here and here. For this next mission, we're going to need to manufacture some additional gear, so we're going to spend 1 manufacturing point to cover the initial cost of the Specialized Section Tools project, which is going to move this project from the Ready for Production slot to the Production Queue 1/Stage 2 slot on the front of this cardholder page. That initial cost of 1 MP is now going to be paid, and we're going to place the Specialized Section Tools in Production Queue 1 slot. Production projects are going to travel down the production queue during each ship phase, but you have no time to spare. You spend 1 manufacturing point to cover the boost cost of our project, which allows it to move to production queue 1 stage 3 slot. I've dropped manufacturing from 2 down to 1 in terms of our points, and this has caused this card to boost all the way up to stage 3, 90% complete. And seeing as we have 1 manufacturing point more to spend, we can now use it to finish the project. We can spend our last point, and now that it's completed, we remove it from the slot, flip it over, and resolve the text on the other side. This card is going to give everyone some starting equipment cards, so place them in the equipment tray of your box behind the available divider, and when you're done, you remove the card from the game. Captain's log entry 215. The landing on Eye of the Void laid bare 2 key facts. First, our landers will face unpredictable threats. Second, even a short scouting mission can leave the away team stranded for weeks. Fortunately, the recon section has some ideas on how to increase the protection of our landers without sacrificing their mobility. There are even talks of designing brand new landing craft that would make use of newly acquired alien materials. So right now we're looking for sheet 20 around the hangar and sheet 21. In this step of the shipbook, the player who controls the recon section is going to construct new landers and lander modules using the assembly points. It's worth noting that instead of having a separate attribute, the hangar makes use of the production attribute. So your production in this example is at 2. However, prior in this video, I'd actually ticked it up to 3. I'll be double checking on that inside of the logbook as well to ensure the logbook actually has it correctly. And this means you will have a +2 assembly points per ship phase. So basically, when you get to this step, you'll be taking a good hard look at your production level, and that's the amount of assembly points you will have. Next, you're going to find a number of cards on the small tutorial deck which will completely deplete it. The heavy armor plating card, as well as Pelican 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. These are blueprints, and you're going to place them in the following slots as depicted by the logbook. Now, considering the fact that one of our landers was just brought down by an alien cannon, you need to be better prepared to face hostile action. So we're going to pay the listed cost of 1 assembly point and move the heavy armor plating blueprint to the construction bay A1 slot. The yellow assembly dial has dropped by 1 point, and we now have the heavy armor plating in construction bay A1. Now, since all parts of this blueprint, because it's one of one card, are now in construction bay, they would normally complete during the next ship phase. However, we want this blueprint to be ready a bit earlier, so we're going to pay the boost cost of 1 assembly point, taking the blueprint out of the construction bay and moving it to one of the completed module slots. At this point, we've now finished our first ship phase and learned about the core parts of the ship book. The rest of the pages and card holders will be used during the next and all subsequent ship phases. So at this point, it's telling you to insert all the remaining sheets, cardboard dividers, and card holders into the ship book, organizing them by page number, which is very easy as they're all up in the top right-hand corner. So your ship book will have 1 to 32 in ascending order when you're all said and done. In this prototype, it looks like it ends around 27, and then we open the ship book on sheet 4, move the unique discovery 1 from our awaiting bag pocket. You remember we got that at the end of our planetary exploration, and we're going to place that in the card holder page. Then we close and store the ship book. We are ready to start the next planetary exploration and head to log 620. Now, this is just a correction around the hanger in terms of how the card flows through the pages, as I missed actually placing page 22 in when I put the other hanger sheets in as well. So I'll explain it. Essentially, when we first had this heavy plate armor, we had slotted them all in over here in the awaiting blueprints area. After I went ahead and paid what I needed to pay there, I moved it to right here, Construction Bay A1, where we again boosted things to get it done quicker, and it shouldn't have ended up right here in the construction bay upgrade slot. It actually should have landed on another sheet, which I had not put in the binder yet, and it was called for by the logbook, but I just missed it. So it'll actually be placed in one of these completed module slots. So it'll actually look like this once you've completed that heavy armor plating. Now, it's very important to note that once you go into further ship phases in the future, you'll be going from left all the way to right in the binder, and as you move along through it, you may have cards that will go in and out of the pouch, and of course the full rules on each of the major dividers are going to tell you how to bring those cards in. It is only going to be here and there where the game tells you to actually go backwards in the ship book. That is very rare. So in this case, it just told us to go backwards to sheet 4, where we can find some unique discoveries here, and you'll remember at the end of the last planetary exploration, it is allowing us right now to place that card way up top there into a slot. The exotic carbon has now been placed in the unique discovery 1 slot, and that is going to do it. All the pages are now in the ship book, and we can close it up. It's certainly worth mentioning, and some of you may have noticed, when you deal with certain ship cards and ship situations, in this case, like the homesick one, it actually has a green area here where it tells you a morale boost of +1. So that's going to actually impact the dial that you're taking care of on the ship as you go through each of the different steps. So be sure to take advantage of those bonuses as you go along. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up this look at tutorial number 2 around the ship phase. What I really liked about this is how much more simplistic it was to move through the ship book with nothing actually in it to start. That is a massive shift from prototype 1.0 that I looked at, where everything was in there. There was cards in the dividers. You had to have a general understanding as to how the thing operated before you even got to just understanding what you were dealing with in the ship phase. But now it starts you with a blank slate. You'll add sheets in, you'll add cards in, you'll see how they progress, and it won't overwhelm you with having to have an understanding of how this book works out of the gates. I find this style of learning much better, and as the tutorials go on, of course, it's going to layer more and more on there so that it just becomes natural and you won't even have to think about it. And with all that said, this is where the journey is going to end for Prototype 2.0. I really hope that the What's Changed video, the setup for the planetary exploration, the actual tutorial number 1 around planetary exploration, and this ship phase video for tutorial number 2 have given you a great understanding of the things that have changed for ISS Vanguard, and also a glimpse at the beginning of the game itself. And just to save the majority of people from spoilers, I'm not going to be going any any further with the gameplay, as I really think you should experience this on your own when the final version does arrive. Thank you guys so much for all your support on the videos. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful. For those of you that were on the fence, the actual Pledge Manager is still currently available, and these videos I'm hoping will help you to make a decision either way. Also, if you don't mind, leave a like on the videos to let me know you enjoyed and they were helpful, and feel free to join the Patreon community here on Rolling Solo as we continue to grow the community. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.